Hey, what's up everyone? This is Zach and I am here with an album review for you guys. And we are continuing with the Asia discography, the Asia series of reviews. And so for this review, I will be reviewing Asia's album Aura. And this is, I'd say, a great album. Do like this album a lot. Now, I know the last Asia album I reviewed was Arena, which I know some people might be wondering, Zach, are you going to talk about the Archiva albums? Are you going to even talk about Rare? But the thing is with Archiva 1 and 2 is those are both just rarities and compilations of songs, and Rare is basically just instrumental, experimental pieces. I don't really count it as a studio album per se, but I know some people do, and that's fine. But for those wondering, that's why I'm not going to review those. So it's probably something that I should have brought up earlier in this review series. I'm not going to cover any, EPs, live albums, compilations, or, even things like Rare. So we're going to skip all of that and go straight to Asia's album Aura, which, to be honest, is actually one of my personal favorite Asia albums. I really like this album, and this album is definitely a grower too, as it used to be one of my least favorites from the band. When I first got into Asia, this was one of my least favorite Asia albums, and I'm not really sure why, because I think this album is fantastic. It's maybe my third or fourth favorite Asia album, to be honest. I think the album is that great. This was the first album that they'd done in the 2000s, and John Payne was still in the band, was still with Asia, and if I'm not mistaken, this album actually got delayed. This was originally supposed to release in the year 2000, but got pushed to early 2001, so that's when this came out, in 2001, and I would say that this is one of the best albums of that year, too. And yeah, it's definitely solid. I think that this is another album where most, if not all, the songs are solid. And the album opens with Awake, which is a great opening track, I think, and definitely one of my favorites on this album. You got a great vocal delivery from John Payne, and I think all the musicians pretty much complement each other with this song. Everything works together so well with the vocals, the instruments. It's all great. And then we've got Wherever You Are, which seems to be one of the fan favorites on this album. And yeah, this is actually one of my favorites on this album too. I love the song Wherever You Are. It's got to be one of my favorite Asia songs, to be honest. It's very heartfelt, it is catchy, and very melodic. You got a great chorus that you remember. I mean, John Payne, great vocal delivery from him, and I even like the solo on that song too. And then we've got the song Ready to Go Home, which is more of a ballad-like song. I really dig this song a lot. John Payne really giving it his all vocally on this track. And Ready to Go Home, it's definitely one of my favorites on this album. And it seems to be a favorite for a lot of people from this album too. And then we've got The Last Time, which is a decent song. Probably not one of my favorites on this album, but it's a decent track. And then we've got Forgive Me, which is a more experimental song. I actually don't mind the synth work in this song, and I think John Payne sounds pretty good vocally. But yeah, Forgive Me, I don't know if I'd say it's one of my favorites on this album, but if not, I'd say it's at least an honorable mention. I do like that song for what it is. And then we've got Kings of the Day, which is a good song. Don't mind that one. On the Coldest Day, which is basically another ballad from this album. I think John Payne sounds great vocally on that track. And then we've got the epic from this album, which is Free. A great song and definitely one of my favorites on this album too. It's a track that's a little over 8 minutes long, I believe. And yeah, definitely a really great track. John Payne, the rest of the guys, they do great in this track. And then we've got You're the Stranger, which is, in my opinion, kind of an underrated song. I'd say it's maybe one of the highlights from this album. Maybe a favorite, I don't know, but I do like that song. John Payne, great vocal delivery from him, and I actually don't mind the synth work in this song too. I think it works very well with everything it has going for it. I think the song itself is just solid. And then we've got the song The Longest Night, which is maybe another favorite of mine on this record. I don't know. There's just too many great songs on this album. I mean, The Longest Night is another great track with John Payne really giving it his all vocally, and I love the chorus of this one. And then we've got Aura, the title track, which is basically just an instrumental. I don't mind this instrumental. I think it's a pretty good instrumental piece on this album. And then we've got some extra tracks, some bonus tracks on this one. We've got Under the Gun, Make My Day, and Hands of Time. Now, of the bonus tracks, my favorite is probably Come Make My Day, which I think is a decent song. Now, the bonus tracks I don't really return to very much, but they're decent songs. I don't mind them, but Aura, I think it's a solid album. Definitely great, and probably, again, one of my favorite Asia records. Definitely give this album a listen. It's well worth your time, I'd say. As I've said earlier in this review series, unfortunately, the majority of the John Payne Asia albums are not available on Spotify or streaming services, but I'm sure you can listen to this in some other way, or if you have it on CD like I do, that's great too. You can listen to it that way. But Aura is great, and I believe that this was around the time when Guthrie Govan joined the band. I don't know if he did recordings on this album, but I know he was on this tour, which is cool. It looks like he might have done some work on this album. Yeah, according to the what it says here, he's got some credits on the back there. So, yeah, it looks like he had some involvement on this album, but I know for sure that Guthrie was on the tour of the Aura album, and he is definitely a great guitar player, and he's often considered one of the all-time greats as far as guitarists go, and yeah, I definitely dig his work with Asia. So Aura is definitely a very strong album, and again, probably one of my favorite records from Asia. Really dig this one. So that's my review for Aura by Asia. Definitely a great album. If I were to give this album a rating or a score, I would give this album probably either a strong 8 out of 10 or an 8.5 out of 10. That's kind of what I'm feeling, but either way, great album. That's well worth your time, I'd say. So let me know what you think of this album if you've listened to it. So with that said, thank you for watching, take care, and have a good one.